I believe that the fires we're cast upon on the flames we shall become. I believe in a common calling where our temples pray as one.
This is Larry Pollock, coming from Underground Performance Gym. I'm here with Luke Carroll, IFBB Pro. We're here today to discuss the 2024 Mr. Olympia. This is an exciting year. It's the 60th year anniversary of the Mr. Olympia, and it's a particularly exciting year, especially competition-wise, because the competition is really deep. There's so many good competitors in all the different divisions that there's, in past years, you could say, this is the clear winner and, everybody's fighting for second. But this year, it's a deep competition, literally in all of the classes, I believe. And so we're going to discuss our predictions of who we think is going to place where, and we'll see if we're right.
There's definitely some rivalries, so. Hey, Larry.
Yes.
It's good to be here, man. Yeah, there's definitely some rivalries this year. Definitely in the Open, Derek and Hadi, in the 212, Keon and Sean, Classic, Chris and Ramon, and then women's bodybuilding, Andrea and
Michaela.
No.
Angio.
Angio, yep. So, where do you want to start?
Let's start with men's open.
Okay. So I got Derek pulled up. I think he's obviously the favorite. He's the incumbent Mr. Olympia champion from last year. Might be my favorite, but he's one of my Iron Rebel athletes, so I might be a little biased. He has gone from 212 Mr. Olympia, winning that, and then straight into the Open. Won it, ended up in 2023 for the first time. He's going for a repeat, this time, and I just think he's getting better every year. He's getting bigger and better, so I don't think he's found his limit yet. He's looking the biggest I've ever seen him. You can see in this video of him training shoulders, he just looks absolutely massive. So I think I predict him to be the repeat winner. I think it's hard to knock the champion off, but Hadi is a former Mr. Olympia as well, and he comes in absolutely diced, absolutely massive. What do you think about those top two?
So here's my, I'll give you my preference and then my unbiased opinion.
All right.
So I really like Derek, not only as a competitor, but as a person. I got to interview him last year at the LA Fit Expo. He's a super awesome guy. I think he's a great representative for the sport. He's a great champion. That being said, I'm going to give you my unbiased opinion. Last year, it was very close between Derek and Hadi. And basically, Hadi had him from the front, Derek had him from the back, had Hadi from the back. And Derek was slightly better on the side because Hadi was just a tiny bit off. He had like a film of water on his back for whatever reason. But Hadi came back to the Arnold Classic just 3 months later, I believe, and it was a different Hadi. And that package, he was just peeled to the bone, rock hard, full, big, everything. And I don't see Hadi making that mistake of coming a little bit off this year. From the recent videos we've seen, he looks to be bigger and more conditioned than I've ever seen him. He looks insane.
Yeah, look at this video right here.
Yeah, look at the quads and everything. He's just nuts.
He does look massive. I agree with that.
I think that's going to be really hard to beat, even for Derek. Derek, I think, is from the back. I think he's probably Derek has him from the back by maybe a slim margin. But from the front, Hadi is crazy, and his back is very good.
Yeah, he's not lacking in any department. I think structurally, Derek might have him slightly beat. I'm not super in love with the shape of Hadi's arms. that would be my only kind of knock on him, because he does when I saw him in person at the Olympia last year, I mean, I was just like, how does someone's legs even get that big?
Right.
You know, I was just absolutely blown away by the size of him and Derek as well, you know, going head to head with him. So this will be definitely the rivalry to watch. I mean, I think that they're just going to be going head to head. I think the coaches are just going to pose the heck out of them. Another wild card that's going to get thrown in the mix, because I think this is going to be, if it's going to be a Hottie and Derek rivalry, I think a wild card that's going to come in is Nick Walker. He got injured last year, days before the Olympia, hamstring, and he wasn't able to compete. So I think he's coming back with somewhat of a vengeance. He won the New York Pro this year. We will see. Let me see if I can find Nick. Nope, that's Brandon. Or no, there he is. I haven't seen much in the way of physique updates. Here's one from, I believe, 3 weeks back. Where is it at? Oh, it's there it is. 3 weeks back. You know, just typical Nick. It's probably 270, 280 pounds still. 5'6", just a tank. Absolutely peeled. You know, his conditioning is probably his best. His conditioning and his muscularity is his best advantages.
I think Nick definitely is comparable to Hottie and Derek as far as conditioning, for sure, size, for sure, structurally not quite there. He doesn't have quite the V shape that those guys have. So I think that's the only thing that can hurt him.
He does go head to head with them. I think on the back and the side poses, I think you might be right. Nick's got a little bit of a long torso and a little bit of a short legs, and I think that does hurt him a little bit in this lineup where everybody's got all-star structure. So it'll be. I'm sure they're going to definitely do the first call out. It's going to be, you know, those guys, and then if one of the guys is off, they'll probably get maybe moved to the side. But I think that's the three-way rivalry that everyone's kind of anticipating. My other kind of rivalry is going to be the tall guys, which is going to be Andrew Jacked. He just won Texas Pro, I think, for the third time. Guy is an absolute monster. He took several months off, came back this year, looking his best ever. I think this guy could be Mr. Olympia one day. I think, you know, one of these times his conditioning really is just going to be right there, and he's going to get that title just because he's got such. Look how bonkers he is. 6'2". You know, he's got to be close to 300 pounds on stage.
Yeah.
Just hardly, you know, no weaknesses about him. So I think that the only thing that might hold him back in this lineup is maybe the conditioning, just because I think some of those black guys, they get so much collagen in their skin or melanin in their skin that it's hard for them to get just like really peeled down. You know, my thoughts go back to like Akeem. Like, he's got all the muscle and structure, but he just can't quite. And it's not even a fat thing. It's just his skin is like a thick skin. Yeah. So I think that the rivalry that I'm talking about is going to be him and then Samson.
Samson Dowd.
Yeah, which Samson was third place last year. He was going against Hottie and Derek, and you know, they were kind of just. He was maybe the odd man out in that lineup, so I think that they might definitely pull.
He has the same issue. The conditioning is just not quite on the level of Derek and Hottie, like nobody is.
Yeah. But he's getting better. He's not with Milos anymore. He did last year's Olympia with Milos. I forget his coach's name. I think it's Michael something. But I mean, he's looking absolutely batty right now. He's one of these guys that keeps on progressing every year, gets better and better. So we could see a whole new Samson. We haven't seen him compete. Did he compete at the Arnold? I think was the last time. Yeah, I think he might have pulled out at the Arnold. So he's just coming with a vengeance this year. So look at this, freaking absolutely massive. So it will be interesting to see him posed up against Andrew Jacked.
If he comes in and this is a big if he could come in that kind of conditioning, he's definitely giving them a run for their money, but we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I think him and Andrew, I think, are Mr. Olympias if they nail down that Ronnie Coleman type conditioning. So, but that comes along once in a generation. We got to see it with Ronnie and Phil.
And it also comes with time. And these guys are both relatively new in bodybuilding as far as like years put into training and, and everything. They both started training just like a few years back. So I don't know if they're quite ready for that level yet.
I mean, they're knocking on the door. You know, Andrew has climbed the ladder. He was, you know,
I'm just saying
that couple years ago,
level of conditioning,
sixth.
it just takes years of competing and dieting and training to get there.
So now I think this is going to be probably our top 5: Derek, Hottie, Nick, Andrew, Samson. I'm not really sure the order because it really could be a toss-up. You know, it could be a short man's Olympia, and they could swing the other way and go for the tall man structure. So let's move on to the next group of guys, which I would think would be the second call-out guys, which this first guy I'm going to say in the second call-out, he's a former Mr. Olympia. He's a top guy, so he really could be in that mix still, but I feel like his separation on his back and his legs has kind of slipped. So, but I mean, look at this guy. He's looking absolutely massive in this in this training footage right here. I haven't seen any shots.
We haven't seen much on Brandon this year.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. And you know, I believe, was he 4th last year?
He was 4th last year. Yeah. So I'm predicting that he's going to be 6th this year. Actually, I think that he's still got it, but I think there's just so much fresh guys in that top 5 that, you know, I was making my list this morning and I was just like, oh, where do I put Brandon? Like where, you know, because in my eyes, he's a top 3-4 guy, but I just think what I've seen, what they've been doing within the last couple years is they've been moving him out of that 1st, 2nd, 3rd spot.
Well, it's just the conditioning is not on the same level as those guys.
Yeah, and I think he's peeled. I think he's just not separated for some reason. I think it's just maybe a, you know, proprioceptivity issue with maybe his legs, or maybe he's just, you know, his legs just do look a little bit flat, for lack of a better word.
Too much sarcoplasm, too much blood volume in the muscle.
Maybe it's that, like after you train and you just get that pumped legs, but they don't look separated.
Yep.
So then next on my list would be Hunter Labrada. He's not currently qualified, but he's heading over to Italy. He's going to get his qualification very easily. He's looking his best ever. So I put him in that 7th spot for myself. What do you think?
I would say, yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
And then we got a newcomer for my 8th place spot, Martin Fitzwater. You know, he's been making a big splash. He won Detroit Pro this year. He narrowly lost to Nick at the New York Pro. And then he shut it down for the Olympia because he did already have his qualification from Detroit. Him and Brett Wilkin are just freaking pushing each other. Brett's looking better than ever too, but
he did give Nick a run for his money, for sure.
He's got the structure and he's got the size. He's got absolutely massive legs. You know, he just doesn't have hardly any weaknesses, which is, you know, great. And he's a young guy. I think he's only probably like 20.
I feel like he's
maybe?
he's a dark horse in this one.
Dark horse for your top 10, you think?
Oh no, he'll be top 10 for sure.
Yeah, but first time at the Olympia, he's got to be excited.
Yeah, he's one that we didn't see him coming until he pushed Nick Walker at the New York Pro, and arguably he could have beat Nick at that New York Pro.
Which, I mean, we got Nick fighting for up there in that third, you know, second, third spot. So I mean, does that mean that, you know, by bodybuilding math, does that mean that
it's almost
Marty
like
could jump that far up?
It's almost like you'd think because he's such a newcomer he couldn't go that far up. But the fact that he compared so well against Nick, and structurally better than Nick, size-wise, he was pretty much almost on the same size as Nick. So yeah, he could be up there.
He could be right up there, yeah.
And he fits in with those other guys. He's about the same height and weight.
He's just got that tiny waist.
same height and weight as like the Hottie and Derek and Nick. They're all right there in that group.
Remember at I believe it was 2022 Olympia, Derek had just crossed over from 212 into this. He made his debut at the Olympia, and he turned around from the back, and he just stood there with his back posed with his glutes, and everyone just like did a standing ovation because his glutes were just so etched out. I think if Marty makes a showing like that, where he just looks absolutely silly, that he could jump up into that first call out, because we do get to see him before they actually do the call out. So if he just looks absolutely bonkers, then he could really jump his career up right there. So I hope he does.
I wouldn't count him out.
Yeah. So he is actually kind of my dark horse to be maybe in that short man Olympia top 4: Hottie, Derek, Nick, Marty. And then a perennial guy, let's see if I'm on the right one, John De La Rosa. We haven't seen him in a few years. Several years ago, he was fighting in that mid-range. He just won Tampa Pro. He was absolutely peeled. He came back from a ruptured bicep tendon a couple years ago. So he's my top, I think, what is this, maybe 8th place is what I'm looking at. Great structure. He's kind of starting to get that like old man thin skin. So he's my pick for 8th. And then I hate to say it, but William Bonac, he just won the Dubai Pro. Yep. So you can't count any of these guys. I mean, I thought that William was slipping.
Didn't Beirut, he won the show right before
Beirut,
that.
yeah, Beirut
won Dubai, and he won the show before that.
Okay, I forget what was that,
I think it was like Big Man Pro or something like that. But
he did win. You're right. Your Beirut did win. And then who's my last? Mo Fata. He won Chicago, and he pushed John De La Rosa at Tampa. And then I don't have Beirut on this list because I don't think that he's going to be able to make it into the United States.
They're saying he might not be able to make it because of visa issues.
So, I mean, if he was in this lineup, I almost put him up as high as maybe beating Hunter, because he is just like absolutely dense, absolutely peeled, great structure. So it's a real travesty that he's not able to come compete. But yeah, that's the only reason I don't have him in this top 10 list that I have. So that's my top 10. Would you move around any of the guys?
No, I really feel like Hottie is going to dominate.
You think Hottie's going to come back with a vengeance this year?
Yeah, I feel like he is.
All right. Do you think that would be good for the sport? Because when Hottie was Mr. Olympia in 2022, I feel like we didn't see him, and I feel like Derek has been doing a lot of expansion on. He's been, going to every show, doing all this kind of traveling. I feel like Hottie is almost like the Dorian Yates. He's just like comes, wins, runs back to I think he lives in Egypt. He's in Iran.
He's Iran.
Runs back to Iran. Keeps it
politically,
quiet, just bodybuilds.
Politically, no. Obviously, Derek is the, USA pretty boy, representative for the sport kind of thing.
But that's not what bodybuilding is all about. It's about who's best on that stage on that day.
It really comes down to like who's the best bodybuilder. So
no
matter who's politically better, if he crushes it on the stage, I thought he should have won in 2019. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought that he definitely could have won. I think in 2019 might have been his first year at the Olympia.
Yeah, he was crazy looking there.
I mean, I thought that. Who won that year? Was it?
Wasn't it?
Was it Brandon? Brandon's.
Was it Brandon? Yeah,
I think Ramy won in 2020.
Yeah, it was Brandon and then Ramy.
Yeah,
but I felt like Hottie should have won in 2019, and he was the most peeled, crazy looking.
I mean, I thought that he beat. I thought that he beat Ramy in a couple of those times.
I thought he should have won. I was there in person, and I thought he should have won there.
And I kind of thought that might be a political move.
It was just he was new to the Olympia, and he was kind of unheard. But look at this now. I mean, that is just nuts.
He's looking bonkers. So, But yeah, that's our top 10. So let's move over to the 212. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, wrong way. All right. So reigning champion Keon. Everybody absolutely loves this guy's structure. I think what you could really contribute a lot of his win to was he started dating this girl, Amanda Kat. I forget her last name. Katsu or something like that. Her Instagram's Haparikan. But as soon as he started dating her, he just started locking in way more on his prep, was able to push and end up winning the Olympia last year. So
I was at the 212 Olympia last year, prejudging, like 2 rows back. And be honest with you, he's a little bit bigger than Sean Clarita, and obviously structure, he's got a great V shape and all that. But honestly, I had Sean beating him.
yeah,
I
didn't see that one up
surprised.
close, so I don't
Sean
really know.
was so dense and just rock hard, and
You think they just went? I mean, the reason he won is because he's got the structure and he
Yeah.
was peeled enough.
I felt like Sean was on another level of conditioning that he just wasn't.
To me, Sean is like a current Mr. Ronnie Coleman. Like he's just like a small Ronnie Coleman in my eyes because he's just so dense, so big. You know, this guy would be conquering the Olympia if he. I mean, he's won freaking open shows handily. But he would be conquering the open. I think that if he was, maybe
that
in that
level
5'6",
of density
5'7"
and conditioning,
range.
I mean, just no one, other than Hottie, I don't think anybody else has that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just like crazy,
Yeah.
you know? I know Keon has got kind of like a better structure, prettier, but look at the density and conditioning on this guy. He was just another level.
So you think that Sean's gonna come back and take it?
I don't know, because it's kind of like what the judges are going for.
You think they're going back towards the structure, maybe more than just mass?
Well, obviously last
conditions?
year that's what they did.
Yeah.
They picked
Derek.
they picked Keon. I think they went structure over conditioning and density.
Okay.
What they do this year, that's the thing. You never know, like what the judges want from one year to the next. They flip flop.
Yeah, I like seeing it because I'm a structure guy. I'm not ever going to be a mass monster.
You're a mass
But-
monster. You just don't realize it.
But yeah, so I mean, I love both these guys. I'm actually friends with both of them, so it's really difficult for me to pick one over the other because they both have qualities. I mean, look at like he's got that. Keon's got that structure, and then Sean just has a full package. Really, is what it is. He's got good structure, not quite on Keon's level, but he's got the mass. So that's a really really tough call for me. So I'm gonna cheer for either one of them. But let's move into our third place, same third place as last year. Angel Calderon. This guy just won. I think he just won Dubai 212.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. And this guy, he's a little pocket freak as well. So I don't think he's going to be slugging it out with those top two, but I think that he is holding it down in third place.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then in fourth, I have kind of just the same lineup as last. Oh, you know what? I did think I was looking at Kareth, and I think that Kareth and Angel might be my third place spot is going to be all three of these next guys: Kareth, Angel, and Ahmed Ashkenani. So I think any one of them could slide into that third place, depending on who's in condition, who's really separated, who's really full. So I'm not seeing a whole lot. Let's see. But yeah, I think Angel might have a little bit better structure, but Ahmed has the size. Like he's just absolutely packed into that 212 body right there.
Yeah.
Let me pull up Kareth again. Yeah, I was look at his conditioning already. I mean, I know we're 6.5 weeks out, but his conditioning already is
Yeah, he's crazy looking.
pretty nuts. So, but
And he's got a good V taper as well.
Yeah, he does.
Those
So
other guys are a little blockier.
I think that third place is wide open. I think the 1-2 is pretty locked up with those guys, but I think third place is wide open. So could be any one of these three, which isn't too exciting. Same lineup as last year. So let me go over to Classic. In Classic, we got Chris. What is he, the 4-time champion right now? 5?
This will be 5.
This will be 6. No, this will be 6.
This will be 6, yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty hard to break that reign. We've all heard the rumors of maybe Chris retiring after another one. So, I mean, look at how's Classic that freaking big. So I don't know. He started a family now, so this might be his last comeback for this last one.
I don't see anybody beating him just because he's so dominant in this division.
Yeah.
I just don't see anybody beating him.
I think that the rivalry is him and Dino.
Ramon, yeah.
Ramon is a freak. I mean, he's got those massive freaking forearms. I'm trying to find a physique shot of him. He's done a lot of just Instagram, like lifestyle stuff. Here's one of his looking at his arms. It's not a good video, but I think that if anyone's gonna knock Chris off, it's this guy right here. So it will be fun to watch him go.
I feel like he just doesn't quite have the same width.
Yeah.
As Chris, and
well, what I notice is
he has good flow, and everything's balanced really well. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he's put together perfectly until he stands next to Chris.
Yeah.
And then he's exposed.
Yeah, Chris, I think, has that rib cage. His high vacuum, his rib cage. His arms are getting better. His legs are fantastic.
And just super wide in the back.
Yeah, he's super wide in the back. So Chris just has that structure that's just a poster child for Classic.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that if Chris isn't there, Dino's going to do a 4 or 5 Olympia run, once Chris does decide to retire. But yeah, I think that if anyone's going to knock Chris off, it would be Dino. Who do I have in third? Oh, this kid, super young, coming up fast in the rankings. Yeah, he's. I think he's kind of like the down the road, maybe a couple years, it'll just be him and Dino battling it out for the Mr. Olympia.
I think he's got everything. It's just size wise, these guys are just bigger than him.
Yeah, and I think like with going back to Dino is he's already really struggling to make that weight cap. So I think that's kind of his biggest thing is like where do you advance if you're coming against Chris and you can't put on any more weight,
right?
What do you really do? Or you can't run heavier cycles. You can't get any bigger. You just are trying to refine, but he's already so refined. And I think that is going to run into the same issue where they're just struggling to add more size because they're already capped out.
Yeah, with the weight class.
Yeah, but I think that he's pretty much got that third place locked down. Breon, he just won Dubai, I believe. All these guys just won Dubai that are in our top. He's kind of an older guy. I don't see him climbing the ladder up into that, second, third, unless he's just one of the guys that maybe in the top is off. Breon always comes peeled, former Mr. Olympia. He's always full, but I think he's getting up there in age. I think he's like maybe 40, 44 now, 45.
Yeah, and he hasn't placed in the top in several years, so he's still in contention in top 5, but I don't.
Yeah, he was 4th last year.
I don't see him beating.
Urs.
Well,
he maybe those guys will go head to head for that third spot.
But he's definitely not beating those guys.
And then this guy, Wesley Vissers, I think.
Now everybody's promoting him as the guy that's going to beat Cripps Bumstead, but
they haven't even compared him.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean he looks fantastic, but I just think when you put him next to Chris, he just doesn't quite have as narrow of a waist. He's got a little bit of a long torso.
Yeah, he's big and he's tall like Chris.
Yeah.
But structurally, I don't see it.
He's not quite there.
No.
Yeah, and I mean, I like his structure a lot, but we're talking about the number one spot.
Yeah.
Who did I have? Oh, this guy just won Tampa Pro. We'll see where he ends up in the lineup. His name is Justin. This will be his first time at the Mr. Olympia, so beautiful structure. Again, I mean, I don't necessarily see him climbing maybe into the top 5, maybe in the top 7, something like that. I don't know if I initially see him climbing up above that, but definitely I wanted a notable mention on that guy. So yeah, you got any other classic insights to put out there?
I think that pretty much covers it on classic.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a repeat of last year on the classic. You know, it would just be interesting to see how Ramon comes back. You know, I think Chris is going to come back, you know, with his same, a little bit better. He comes back every year, just a little bit better. So hopefully he doesn't get another injury, because he seems like he's coming back with an injury every year, which hasn't been enough to knock him off, but it has been enough to definitely be inconvenient. So you wanted to talk about women's bodybuilding. I'm not too into women's bodybuilding, but I know there was just a show last week, was it?
Yeah. So Andrea Shaw is a
Let me pull her up.
4-time Miss Olympia,
Right here.
and she's the current reigning Miss Olympia. And Angela Yo gave her a run for her money at last year's Olympia, and some people felt like Angela should have beat her. But at the Rising Phoenix, just this last week, Angela beat Andrea.
So I didn't catch
And-
this show. Was Andrea off, or was she at her best?
I would say that Andrea was not 100%, but Angie Yo was peeled out like on another level. She was just shredded. Her conditioning was just like no one could compete with that. And she has a structure and everything. She's a little bit smaller than Andrea, because Andrea's taller and a little bit bigger, but she wasn't missing for anything. I mean, just crazy shredded, crazy structure. Her posing is like the best on that stage, for sure.
I remember seeing Shaw at the Olympia last year, and she just looked, you know, it just seemed like it was definitely her and Yo, and then it kind of like the rest of the
And then
the rest of
everybody
the
else.
crowd. Yeah, but I mean, Shaw just seemed like super graceful, super, you know, shredded, and you know, massive, but it seemed like her like presence. She had like a lot of stage presence when I saw her.
And she's big.
Yeah.
And she's big.
So, who else do we have?
We have third place, just came in third at this Rising Phoenix, was just blanked on her name, Ashley Jones. So structurally, Ashley Jones can beat Andrea Shaw. She has a better quad sweep.
She does have a lot of quad sweep. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
It's just a conditioning issue, you think?
She's just not quite there on the conditioning. If
Okay.
she can come in conditioning at the Olympia, she could possibly beat Andrea Shaw. Now, that's a big if, because we haven't seen it yet, but she did win some pro shows recently, and she just took third at the Rising Phoenix. And in the comparison, she's right there. She's right there with the other two. So it's just not quite as hard. If she can get that conditioning, she's got a chance.
And
then we have Sherry Prami, which is somebody I wasn't really that familiar with her till Rising Phoenix.
was she in fourth at the Rising Phoenix
Yeah,
show?
and she really made a good showing in conditioning, structurally. She's just really good.
I mean, is that her?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just see the size difference though between her and those top two, between Shaw and.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying she's
Yeah.
not competing for number one, but she's definitely
notable.
I definitely put her in the fourth spot.
against Chicago Pro.
And then you have Michaela Ekak, who just won several pro shows, and she took fifth at Rising Phoenix. And she is as conditioned as Anja Yo, I would say. Her conditioning is crazy. Lots of muscle. Her structure is just a little bit, I don't know, she's put together a little bit weird.
It seems like she's not quite as top heavy as those other girls. Those other girls got the size in the shoulders and the arms, and it seems like her upper body is a little bit behind the.
Well, she just has really short limbs.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah. Long limbs look good on for bodybuilder.
So
that.
it just makes her look kind of stubby, even though she has tons of muscle and she's peeled like crazy and density and everything. She's just, her structure is just kind of not the prettiest.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to get off this. All right. Anyway, so yeah, do you think that Yo is going to be able to do a repeat at the O, or you think that Shaw is going to get a new fire and just come back? And
I mean, she wasn't quite on at the Rising Phoenix. I think the fact that she just got beat is probably going to light a fire under her butt, hopefully.
It's either going to light a fire or it's going to get in her head.
Yeah. But, yeah, she's going to have to bring this kind of conditioning to beat Angie Yo. And obviously the judges are going for Angie Yo. They just placed her over Shaw. And they're pretty much going to be the same judges that are going to be at the Olympia.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to run it back between those two for sure. So I think that's it for our predictions. So are you going to be out there at the Olympia?
Yeah, I've got the gold tickets, gold VIP passes, and yeah, I'll definitely be there.
I don't have a ticket yet, so if anybody wants to come through and buy me a ticket, then I'll go. But otherwise, I might be watching the live stream.
Tickets were sold out early this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an early email for my gold VIP passes because I'm already on the list. And it was like, buy them right now or you won't get them.
Yeah.
And I bought them that day.
Yeah, it definitely seems like bodybuilding is in the limelight right now. A lot of fans are starting to really come through, go to the Olympia. So it's back in Vegas. I'm excited about that.
I know a ton of people that are going to Olympia can't get tickets.
Yeah.
To the shows.
Just going to go to the expo and
go to the
train at Dragon's
expo
Lair.
and watch it on live screen or whatever. Yeah. It's going to be exciting Olympia this year. And
I agree.
And I'll be at all of it and hopefully covering a lot of it. And maybe we can do a wrap up or something.
Yeah, if I do end up making it, I can do a wrap up with you. So
that, I think that covers it for our 2024 predictions. Feel free to leave your opinion in the comments, and we'd like to hear what you guys think. And that'll do it for this video. Luke Carroll, Larry Pollock signing out from Underground Performance Gym. Don't forget to go to our website, undergroundperformancegym.com. Get supplements and apparel. And Luke, do you have anything you want to promote on here?
Nah, just thanks for having me back, Larry.
All right.
Hopefully back again soon.
And we plan to do this on a regular basis, so we'll be seeing you guys.
See you guys.
Curse to the